Can vote. We are down to our two finalists in our Looks Like tournament. We will tell you who those two finalists are tomorrow at Lebitard Show on Twitter. Stugotz, go ahead and start updating the polls. We've got a bunch.
Yes, at Lebitard Show on Twitter. I only said that again, repeating exactly what it is you just said because I'm filibustering, trying to get down to the first poll from today, which I found.
You had all break to do that, Stugotz.
Yeah, I know. But listen, the internet connection went out, and then I quickly had to go to a secret internet connection, which I did quickly.
Oh, stop
you didn't
with
even
the
notice I
lies.
did it.
Just go. We've got 11 of them. Just go.
Would you drink every night if you lived in Buffalo? Good question. 89% of the audience said yes. Does the person who starts a thought with, "I hate to tell you this," really enjoy to tell you it? 94% of the audience said yes. Are stand-up comedians brave? Really?
They are.
70% of the audience said yes. I mean, sir, what are we doing here? Brave? I mean... Nurses, brave. Doctors, brave.
Oh, there it is. Okay, very good.
Thank you. Yeah. Anyway, is it fair to call Sammy Watkins a bit of a bust? I think it is. I mean, I'm with Dan on this one. 75% of the audience said yes. Are you stunned by how vigorously Mike Ryan felt the need to defend Sammy Watkins? We were all stunned.
It really was surprising.
80% of the audience said yes, Mike. Sorry. Is 9 a.m. too early to be doing cocaine? 51% of the audience said yes.
Really? That low?
Yeah.
That low?
Does Stan Van Gundy hate Michael Jordan?
For the love of God.
84% of the audience said yes. He'll be back on tomorrow to defend himself. Are you showering more or less often during the quarantine? 45% of the audience said no.
That wasn't the right question. The question was supposed to be, are you showering every day during the quarantine? I don't know what that question and answer are.
Is there anything in life that Dan dreads more than Billy's first of all? 85% of the audience said no.
Keeping your vehicle going keeps you going. And these days, you can't be too prepared. At Advance Auto Parts, we're here whenever and however you need us. Take our free battery testing, for example, with no appointment necessary. And if it turns out you need a new one, we'll even install it for free with batteries starting at just $79.99. We also offer curbside pickup, so you can have any order brought right out to your vehicle. Advance your auto at Advance Auto Parts and participating CarQuest locations. See store for details.
An auto policy from State Farm gets you collision coverage. And this radio ad from State Farm gets you coverage of this beloved 90s hit.
I hit a car. I hit a car. I hit a car. Ooh, baby. Ooh, baby. It's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay. My agent's gonna help me.
For more coverage, visit statefarm.com.
For This Week in Sports History, I'm JP. In 1900, James Jeffries knocks out James Corbett in 23 rounds for the heavyweight boxing title. In 1953, in his first world heavyweight title defense, Rocky Marciano knocks out former champion Jersey Joe Walcott in the first round at Chicago Stadium. In 1958, Stan Musial is the 8th player to get 3,000 hits. Musial set NL records for career hits, runs batted in, games played, at-bats, and runs scored. In 1970, Atlanta Braves' Hoyt Wilhelm pitches in his 1,000th game, losing to the Cards 6-5. Wilhelm, who fought in World War II, is 6th in MLB history, pitching in 1,070 games. In 1986, Reggie Jackson hit his 537th home run, passing Mickey Mantle into 6th place. And in 2007 PGA Players Championship TPC at Sawgrass, American Phil Mickelson wins by 2 strokes ahead of runner-up Sergio Garcia of Spain. The event played in May for the first time. That's This Week in Sports History. I'm JP.
The teams, the games, the fans, the local talk. This is ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM, 99.1 FM.
Gathering at Pensacola Beach is a wonderful family experience. If you thought of having a family celebration or an amazing beach wedding, there's a very special home now available, Casa de Luna. Casa de Luna is spacious with room for large families. It has 9 bedrooms and 8 bathrooms. Casa de Luna is a large private home with a refreshing pool and water views. The pool can be heated for swimming in colder months. Casa de Luna is unique in that the main living area is directly on sand level. It's very convenient. Bedrooms are both on the sand level and upstairs. One bathroom is handicap friendly and another has a new jacuzzi. And there's a large gaming porch with pool table, foosball, hockey, ping pong, and Xbox One. Bicycles are provided. Bring your family to Casa de Luna on Pensacola Beach.
For information, call Casa de Luna owner Tim at 791-6400. That's 791-6400. 791-6400.
I'm little teapot, short and stout.
Here is my handle and here is my spout.
No, Dad, like this. When I get all steamed up, then I shout, tip me over and pour me out.
This is WWE superstar Roman Reigns. It only takes a moment to make a moment. Take time to be a dad today.
Visit fatherhood.gov, brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
JP here. At ESPN Pensacola, we are hometown proud. Like the greatest pound-for-pound boxer of all time, Roy Jones Jr.
3-time light heavyweight world champion and former heavyweight champion of the world, future Hall of Fame legend, Roy Jones Jr.
What up? This is your boy Roy Jones Jr. and you're listening to ESPN Pensacola.
Hear ye, hear ye. I bringeth thee a message from... a message from the king and his new trumpeter, Stephen. The king wishes me to convey his favor to thine team and thine tailgate. Not yet. He invites thee to let the Bud Light flow forth. And he also wishes me to tell thee that he toasts thee. Waiteth until the end, Stephen! With game day's favorite light lager and the slogan of his kingdom... Oh, dilly dilly.
Enjoy responsibly. Bud Light Beer, AB, St. Louis, Missouri.
This is ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM and 99.1 FM, the only local station that talks sports 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. From Gullick and Wingo to the Sports Drive with Chad Brillante. Plus talk football with Coach K at noon, sports call every Saturday. If you'd like to partner with us as an advertiser or a promotional partner, just give us a call at 262-6000.
You're listening to ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM, 99.1 FM. All sports, all the time. WEBY, Milton, Pensacola.
The following has been produced by Talk Football LLC. Former Florida Gators quarterback, NFL quarterback, and NFL head coach. Coach K. Stevenson has a resume second to none, and now he's sharing his insider information with you. Talk Football with Coach K starts right now on ESPN Pensacola.
Welcome into Talk Football with Coach K. JP here with you alongside former NFL head coach K. Stevenson on this Wednesday afternoon. Hope everybody's doing well, staying safe, and of course, practicing social distancing. Like we said before, we're getting good news moving forward in this time. Let's keep it that way. Continue doing what got us to that point. But as we always start out our show, we'll continue to do this. Look, we want to thank our first responders and our healthcare workers as well. These people are on the front lines each and every day. We thank them so much. Look, I found out that some of them listen to our show while they're working. That's good. I mean, you know what? That hopefully we can kind of separate some of that noise going on right now, give you some relief, talk some football with you. We appreciate all our listeners as well, but we thank you for what you do each and every day, not just in this time, but every day that you go on. I've said it before, we're a military town. We pride ourselves with our military. We love our military and former military. But we also want to thank as well, when we're talking about this, grocery store employees, truck drivers, all the essential workers out there. Things are starting to open back up. That's awesome. It's good to see that in our community. It's good to see it starting to open back up in parts of the U.S. now and the world, really. We're not done yet. Of course, we're moving forward slowly, step by step. but it's a good sign. We thank those essential workers getting us through this time. Continue to put yourself out there as well so we may live in some normalcy. But listen, Coach, I know you feel the same way, but how are you doing today, my friend?
I'm doing well, and as always, I second your call there for to give thanks rather to all the first responders and those that there's so many people that play an important role in our day-to-day lives, and I think this has pointed out who some of those people are that we don't normally give credit to, like those people working in the grocery store, to the truck drivers, the people who have the flow of materials moving around in this country so we can have a normal life. But it's always our place to say thank you to those people.
Yeah, absolutely, Coach. And if you see them out there, listen, if you're at the grocery store, just let them know what you think. Tell them thank you. And listen, practice a little patience out there. It's different for everybody. But you know what? We appreciate the heck out of them. And we also want to thank our sponsors, of course, what they mean to our community. What they've stuck with us through this tough time. And, it's been tough for everybody, but we appreciate that we can bring you this right here, Talk Football with Coach K, each and every weekday here. But listen, 850-623-1330 is the number. Give us a call. Let us know what's on your mind. There's a ton to get to today, Coach. Of course, we're going to try to get through all of it. Of course, we probably won't because there's that much to talk about as usual. And, look, we've been blessed with all this stuff to talk about the football-wise. I know a lot of sports being shut down right now, and football still has some time. I do want to start with, of course, the first one here. We know that, look, Paul Feinbaum has not slowed down talking about NCAA President Mark Emmert. He's not his favorite guy. I think it's easy to say. But Mark Emmert went on the other day to say college athletes are college students, and you can't have college campuses open and having students on them. You don't ever want to put student athletes at a greater risk than the rest of the student body. All the commissioners and every president that I've talked to is in clear agreement. If you don't have students on campus, you don't have student athletes on campus. That doesn't mean it has to be up and running in the full normal model, but you've got to treat the health and well-being of the athletes at least as much as regular students. So if a school doesn't reopen when they're not going to be playing sports, it's really that simple. Now, of course, Feinbaum coming on, and here's Feinbaum's always fun when he talks about Mark Emmert. And Feinbaum's gotten a little more bold lately, but nonetheless, you know what? I think he's just getting fed up with the way the NCAA is handling a lot of these things, as we are as well. Feinbaum going on to talk about Mark Emmert, saying Mark Emmert has no more authority over the influence of college football than Bozo the Clown. And look, he said he's an innocent bystander in all of this, and I think that's why he put out a statement. This wasn't an interview. He put it out himself because he was listening to all the things that Laura Rutledge just got through talking about. We moved 3 weeks ago from no students on campus, no fans in the stands, no football, to a modification of that. Emmert had to be heard, so he was, and he wasn't heard very loudly because the 5 Power 5 commissioners don't give a rip. Now, Coach, we talk about this. I know we've mentioned a little bit about it as well. Dan Mullen went on to say the other day, that, look, we have to be ready, that if some teams are ready to play and others aren't, then maybe we modify the schedules and things like this. It seems like more teams than not will be ready. Now, Detroit, or up in Michigan, their governor came out and said, look, we're not going to be filling stadiums at any time soon. We're not, talking about no sports and things like that. So, Coach, what I bring up to you here, we've talked about this as well. The NFL transitioning this from college to the NFL at the same time here to get a little bit different perspective from you. I know you've heard some things going on. Teams in the NFL saying that, look, they're not ruling out moving their California teams out to go play their games. Coach, could we see that of course, in the NFL, and could we see that in college possibly? What's the differences here?
Well, I think it's certainly a possibility in the NFL. There's no doubt about that. They are positioned differently corporately and socially as well. So they could certainly move Detroit out of Detroit if they run into a roadblock there, and the California teams, and also they got one in Seattle with some possible problems up there in Washington. So yeah, they could make a transition. College is going to be a little bit different. I haven't heard as much in the way of options from the college standpoint. But let me throw out one other interesting scenario possibility. Now, let me preface by saying this is a possibility only. But what if the National Football League, because you saw even today there was an article written about the New York Giants are actively looking for another training camp site in case they have a problem in that area. Well, other teams are doing that too, including Detroit, the New York Jets, and I'm sure some other teams as well. So what if, and this is a what if, they move teams to Florida and utilized all the training capabilities here that are involved with baseball, that they could convert to training fields, for camps. And then for play, JP, what if they played all the games in Tampa, Orlando, Jacksonville, Miami, Atlanta, Houston, Dallas, New Orleans? Just put in those states that are open to getting things done, have all the games played there in a rotating fashion, no fans, and TV. That's not totally out of the question. I'm not saying that would happen, and that's a big if. But something like that could happen to have NFL football.
Yeah, I think you're right. And look, Coach, we heard it today that the governor of Arizona said that they are actually allowing pro sports to continue if they want to, without fans, of course, right now, starting Saturday. And so you talk about spring training and the facilities that baseball has down there. The same facilities are in Arizona as well. And so that's an interesting insight there when you think about it of what can happen. Now, of course, that's a really like a worst-case scenario if it really has to happen that way. But, it's interesting just because a lot of people coming out, and, of course, Feinbaum has mentioned as well, look, California and the governor of Oregon coming out and saying we're not going to have any events until after September. Why do you make that call now? We've talked about this over and over and over again, the impact it's going to have. And for the governor of Michigan to come out and say, listen, we're not going to be packing any stadiums. We're not going to talk about no sporting events and things like that. I think at this point, I think it is tough for colleges to do that. But for the NFL, the revenue you're going to lose, the teams are just going to leave and go somewhere else if they can play somewhere else. So
let me interrupt you here just a minute. And you've said it over and over, and I've said it. We've tried to adhere to that. Occasionally, I guess it becomes impossible not to at least infringe to a certain extent on being political. But look at where they're saying they're not going to put people in the stands, and they're not going to play. California, Oregon, New York, Michigan. Do you think there might be a little hint of political bias involved in these states? I think so. Use a little common sense here, and it's pretty obvious to me.
You're absolutely right. And you look, Coach, we both know we're on the same page with this. We try to leave the politics out of this because it's a sports. People hear enough. If you want to go listen to politics, turn on CNN, Fox News, whatever you want, and you're going to hear it. Even on the local news, you're going to hear different sides of this. But we're here to talk sports with you. But look, this is becoming blatantly obvious when you look at it of who is saying yes, who is saying no. The difference is there. You don't even have to open your eyes wide open to see that. But Coach, I do want to talk about something here. Is talking about the NFL. I want to stick with this, get back a little bit more to, I guess, some interesting news. Now, Emmitt Smith is a guy that, he's redacted it. It kind of retracted his statements a little bit about what he said before, and it wasn't very long ago. But talking about Dak Prescott, saying, listen, trying to get the deal done, saying he's not worried with the Cowboys getting the deal done with Dak Prescott as long as they're not playing chicken. He said, if you understand the business of leverage, when you have leverage, then you try to set the rules. And the only way you fight leverage is by establishing your ground. And I think at some point this stuff will subside, and it's not that important right now. Dak is not worried about whether or not he's going to get signed. I'm not even concerned. I believe he will get it done. I believe the Cowboys will get it done because we don't have room to be playing games or playing chicken. Now, Coach, this is, of course, back in '93, Emmitt Smith was in a contract dispute similar to this, and he held out and he ended up getting what he wanted to. Now, A lot different money, a lot different time of the game when you look at how things have changed back from 93 to now. A lot of people saying, listen, the Cowboys are fools if they don't get it signed. When I look at this, Coach, when you look for the Cowboys, we've mentioned this a lot on the show. We've talked about Jerry Jones. We've talked about Dak Prescott. Stephen Jones has come on, and they signed Andy Dalton, and he said, I sleep better at night knowing that, you know what, regardless of what happens, we've got a good quarterback in Andy Dalton to back up Dak. Now, he hasn't come out and saying, basically, look, I don't care if Dak signs or not. I kind of get that feeling is regardless, now the pressure's back on Dak. So when you look at this whole situation, look at Emmitt Smith's comments here about, look, I hope they're not playing chicken. Emmitt's hoping, or he's thinking that, listen, Dak's not worried. Coach, what say you on this whole situation with Emmitt Smith and his comments?
Well, I think Emmitt. It's not surprising Emmitt would feel that way, and I think he's. Look at the situation in Dallas. I think we have to separate this from any other possible scenario right now with another team. I think just look at how it applies to Dallas. I think what he's referring to is a typical Dallas approach to this negotiation. Now, I will say this, and I will say it again and again and again. They have set themselves up extremely well in the quarterback situation. If, for some reason, whatever, that they don't come to an agreement, they have a quarterback that can play there. And he might, I would say he would give them certainly about the same chance of winning as would Dak Prescott, and possibly even better. I don't know. But they're not hurting at the quarterback position, so keep that in mind as this goes forward. It's not like they're hanging out there with a taxi squad quarterback who's going to have to play if they don't get Dak Prescott signed. They've got a guy.
Coach, that brings up the next question. We heard it this morning. It was one of the big issues, talking about, if you overpay for a quarterback, you pay a certain percentage of your salaries that go to just one position at that quarterback position. A lot of teams have bit the dust because of that, not just 1 year, 5-10 years down the road because of that monumental decision. Now, we look at guys like Jared Goff, and Jared Goff had that good year, and then he got big-time paid. Let's just say what it is. He got his money. Now, I'll never fault anybody for getting their money, but when you look at a team and making decisions, we're looking at Patrick Mahomes, not this year, but next year, going to get his big contract. And Mahomes, you know what? Mahomes has done it right. Mahomes hasn't said anything because he knows he's going to get paid. But people are talking upwards of $50 million a year. Coach, this is my thing. And I like I said, I will not act like I'm some professional when it comes to a coach. You've been in the locker rooms. You've played coach. You understand how this goes when it comes to contract decisions. But if you pay $50 million or a certain percentage like that to your quarterback, how do you build the team around him? So does it become about winning, or does it become about just getting yours? Now, if you're just about the money, I won't fault you. I won't agree with it, but it comes down to like Tom Brady's, and people get mad when people bring up Tom Brady and even guys like Drew Brees just because they're more friendly deals, and they're like, well, they're ruining it for everybody. Well, when you look at it, did they ruin it? Tom Brady got to win 6 Super Bowls. He got to have 20 years of success in New England because he didn't take a monumental contract, because it allowed him the team to build around him, which made him better and made his job easier. So, Coach, what I'm going to ask you here is, when we look at this, overpaying for a quarterback can be very costly, but when you look at today's society and how the market dictates everything, is a $50 million quarterback what we're going to see? And if so, is that a big mistake?
I hope not. I hope we never do. And I don't mean that in the wrong way. I just think it's ridiculous where that's gone. And contrary to Brady and Brees ruining it for other people, what they did, in particular Brady, is he crafted a blueprint for how you approach this in order to have the best possible help around you, the best possible talent around you. It's just common sense. When you have no more money to pay these people, I think Brady and Brees, to a certain extent, have laid out a blueprint for winning.
Yeah, I agree, Coach. I think it's absurd just to think of where this can get. And like I said, listen, if you can get your money, I will never fault anybody for going after the money. It is what it is. I'm not ignorant to that fact, but talking about a $50 million quarterback, I can't imagine. And listen, you know what cost? When you look at guys, I don't know, Dak's inner self, if it's more important to him to get his money or, maybe $5 or $6 million more, or is it more important to go out there and win Super Bowls? That's the difference here. I'm not going to criticize him regardless. It's just that it is what it is when you really break it down. You look at Brady understood. Brady and Breeze understood what, look, if I take this kind of money, yeah, I'm getting my money, but what does it mean for my team? And you look at the salary caps and guys, look, salaries are going up for every position now. So you just you take that $50 million, you give it to, perfect example, give it to a guy like Patrick Mahomes. Okay, let's look at that Kansas City Chiefs team now. Let's take away a guy like a Tyreek Hill. Let's take away some of these other guys over there. And then how good are the Kansas City Chiefs? Then do they go to the Super Bowl? That's where I love it. When you look at the San Francisco 49ers, they've built that team. On salaries, they're a bunch of guys that aren't necessarily superstars. They play together like superstars. There's some good talent on that team, but they play so well together, and their contracts aren't insane. That's why I believe the San Francisco's 49ers, I said this before the Super Bowl, will have sustained success is because of the way they built that program up. Not, let's go pay this guy $35 million. They're just not doing that, and that's where I believe, you know what, they didn't win the Super Bowl, but nonetheless, they're going to have that sustained success. Coach, I do want to talk about one thing, though. Look, interesting here, this has come up before, the delayed season with possible of NCAA football. Now, we're saying just a delayed maybe October, November. They're talking about splitting the season and playing a little bit in October and November and then playing after January because of the possible spike with the cold weather coming back with COVID-19. What comes up here in the question I'm going to ask you is if we see the season get delayed, could we see the top college players sit out this year? I mean, and when I say this, first and second round guys, maybe even more, a guy if he thinks he's going to get drafted, could we see them possibly just sit out the entire year?
Yes, I think certainly you're going to see that without any question. The top 20, 25, 30 players, we say, well, that's not going to hurt college football that much because there's so many players. But it will. It'll detract from the interest. It'll certainly put a damper on what the fans expected to see. So in many ways, it would change the whole college football picture. So, yes, you would see that. I have no doubt that you would see that.
Yeah, that's something that I think is got to be extremely, extremely interesting moving forward. Just because we have to bring it up. People were saying last year that Trevor Lawrence should sit out. He should sit out this year. Things like that. That's insane. I can't imagine him doing it. But I think for other guys, we've seen guys sit out bowl games, and we have to come to the realization that this is a possibility if this season gets delayed. Now, I can't imagine the season hearing people like Bob Bowlesby talking about playing possible spring. I think this would be way more guys than you're just talking about those 25 or 30. But you're right, Coach. 25 or 30 guys would hurt college football. Take away the stars from these teams. Take away Trevor Lawrence's. Take away Justin Fields, guys like that. Take away, whoever you want when you really want to break it down. It definitely hurts college football. It hurts the viewership. It hurts everything when it's all said and done. But going to be interesting to see what happens when we get to that point. We're still ways away from that time. But nonetheless, Coach, we're up against a break. When we come back, we're going to talk more about the NFL and the top offenses post-draft. Get into digging a little bit more about that and all the NFL news that's, on tap for today right here on Talk Football with Coach K on ESPN Pensacola.
I'm attorney Stephen Luongo with Levin, Papantonio, Thomas, Mitchell, Rafferty, and Proctor in Pensacola, Florida. Distracted driving is a dangerous epidemic on America's roadways. In 2016 alone, over 3,000 people were killed in motor vehicle crashes involving distracted drivers. This according to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. For more information, please visit us today online at levinlaw.com. Please be safe on the roadways. Stop the text. Stop the wrecks.
When you're looking for a great deal on a reliable new or certified pre-owned vehicle, you can't beat Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola. Bob Tyler Toyota has the best selection in town at incredible low prices. You can check out their amazing inventory from Camrys to Tundra trucks to 4Runners. It's all at Bob Tyler Toyota, and you can find it online at bobtylertoyota.com. Also score a touchdown this football season with the car of your dreams. Again, it's only at Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola.
Hello, sports fans. Miles Bentley here, General Manager at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram in Pensacola. Growing up, I always loved sports. Nothing but net, out of the park, through the uprights. Sink the puck Bentley, that was me. But my love of the game couldn't beat my love for Pensacola and helping folks get on the road of dreams in a new Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Sure, I never went to the big leagues in sport, but we're all pro here at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Proud to be in Pensacola.
Sometimes your bank, your family, and your friends love you, but they don't have the money to help you. Sometimes we have chances to make money, but the old saying, you've got to have money to make money, rings true. At Pensacola Specialty Pond, we can help. If you have trucks, heavy equipment, airplanes, boats, jet skis, anything with value, Pensacola Specialty Pond can loan you that short-term money you need. No credit checks, and at Pensacola Specialty Pond, you're going to find the money and the discretion you need.
Now at 6428 Pensacola Boulevard, north of Car City. Call 432-9050, 432-9050.
Well, I finally did it. My student loan is totally paid off.
What? What about our plan to win the lottery and start living? You know, travel the world on matching yachts, wear enough jewelry to require a bodyguard, vacation on the French Riviera, and then buy it.
You know we're never going to win the lottery, right?
When it comes to financial stability, don't get left behind. Get tools and tips for saving at feedthepig.org. This message brought to you by the American Institute of CPAs, the Florida Society of CPAs, and the Ad Council.
Jackson Pace Pharmacy has exciting news for ED patients. Viagra 100 milligram generic is finally here. Get it today. 30 tablets for $80, less than $3 a pill. You heard right. Viagra 100 milligram generic is less than $3 a tablet. A prescription from your doctor is required, so stop by Jackson Pace Pharmacy and cash in on the savings today. 2256 West 9 Mile Road in Pensacola.
There's only one name in town when it comes to afternoon local sports talk. The Sports Drive with Chad Brilliante.
Some athletes don't want to be given... nobody does. No, look, when you play with your pops as he gets older, one of the most embarrassing things... My daughter's 3. I just slam it right in her face right at the play school hoop. Like right there, like I'm Zion Williamson.
The games, the players, the fans. ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM.
You can watch Coach K talk football live right now on our YouTube channel at ESPN Pensacola 1330.
Welcome back to Talk Football with Coach K. JP here with you alongside former NFL head coach Kay Stevenson. This Wednesday afternoon. Hope everybody's doing well. We're talking some football with you, breaking down some, NFL top offenses. We talked about this a few days ago, Coach. It's interesting because this is post-draft, of course, NFL.com releasing this list. Of course, number 1 we talked about was Kansas City Chiefs. Number 2, we both agree on this, surprising enough, but you know what? There's a lot of hype on these guys in the Baltimore Ravens. Moving on, now number 3, the New Orleans Saints. Now, Coach, this is interesting for number 3, but remember, this is just offenses. This is not the power rankings for the teams as well. The quarterback position, it's hard to argue with having Drew Brees coming back. Taysom Hill is more of that gadget player. And then Jameis Winston, signing him as just a backup, I think was a good move for everybody, including Jameis Winston moving forward at that quarterback position. Then when we talk about the backfield, it's a pretty good little backfield. Now, Alvin Kamara is a guy that, he's played through some injuries, had some high ankle sprains, some knee injuries moving forward, but Latavius Murray was a good backup, a good goal line guy, and a good third down guy if they needed him to build a little depth. Now, they also got Dwayne Washington coming over. The guy, of course, used to be with the Raiders not too long ago. And then receiving corps. This is where it gets good, Coach, when I look at the New Orleans Saints. A lot of excitement here. We know how good Michael Thomas is. He is one of the top receivers in the NFL. But how long could he continue doing what he was doing? I mean, it was insane, the pace that he was on. They brought in Emmanuel Sanders, which is going to be a lot of help. Now, they also still have a young receiver in Traquan Smith. In a tight end position, when you look at it, Jared Cook is not the guy that I thought he was going to be. He did come on a little bit later in the season, but they also drafted another big tight end, Adam Troutman, the kid out of Dayton, a really good tight end who will be his own. He's a guy that can block. He's a guy that can catch the football. They'll find a way to implement in that offense as well, and it just adds more depth. I mean, they have some great depth. The offensive line is still good. Of course, Armstead, Andrews Pete, Eric McCoy. Warford just left. Now, they let him walk, but they also have Ryan Ramczyk, Cesar Ruiz, and Cameron Tom. Cesar Ruiz coming in, Larry Warford walking isn't that big of a deal necessarily. But, Coach, when you look at this, do you consider the New Orleans Saints a top 3 offense in the NFL? Coach?
Yes, I'm sorry. I would say so. Probably in the top 3. I would say it looks to me like, if I had to guess right now, I would say Tampa Bay and New Orleans would be the top 2. Maybe Kansas City in there in the top 2, and Saints at 3. I just wonder how much. I think Sanders was a good pickup. I just wonder how much he's got left. Whether he's going to be able to do all of the things that they need to be done from a number 2 receiver. Whether he truly can take some of the heat off Thomas. And I, like you, I don't understand how Thomas does it with all the double and triple coverage that he's getting right now. He and Breeze are amazing. But hopefully Sanders will take some of the heat off. The tight end, what I hear from some pretty good personnel people, that Troutman is potentially, and I hate that word potential, but is potentially a very productive NFL tight end. That obviously he was not in a system in college to give him an opportunity to really show what he could do from the passing game standpoint. But they feel that he can be, and you're right, he is a good blocker as well. So that could be a real upgrade for New Orleans. And they couldn't have a better quarterback, and so I think they're en route to have one of the better offenses now. One of the contributing factors, 2 of the contributing factors to that offense. One is the coaching staff. They do a good job coaching these people on everything from execution up front to the route running to timing on the patterns and then the call, the game planning. The strategy used and the calls in the ball game. I think Peyton does a good job calling the games offensively. And then the other thing that's a plus is that they've been able to get other teams off the field reasonably well defensively, which gives them more shots at offensive football. If you can't get the other team off the field, you're not going to have the ball very much. So given the fact, all those factors put together, you have to say New Orleans has got a chance to be a very, very productive offense in the NFL.
I agree, Coach. I think with New Orleans, if Tampa Bay had not done what they've done this offseason, we're talking about New Orleans dominating that division. Even though I know that the Falcons got Todd Gurley, I'm still not a believer in Todd Gurley yet until he goes out there and proves it. I just don't know if he has what we thought he had left, after last year and seeing how it was used. I don't think he can be the guy anymore, but hopefully I'm wrong because I love Todd Gurley. I love the way he runs the football. But listen, Coach, number 4 here is a team that, we talked about earlier, the Dallas Cowboys. You know what? I don't necessarily disagree with this. It will be interesting. I don't know if they're top 4, maybe 5 or 6, 7 down the road, whatever it may be, but they're assuming, of course, Dak Prescott re-signs, but regardless whether it's Dak Prescott or Andy Dalton, I think we kind of agree on this. Of course, Ben DiNucci is the guy that they drafted as well as just a kind of we'll see what happens later on down the road. Not a guy that's, of course, expected to play at all. Hopefully not for the Cowboys. But when you look at the backfield, Ezekiel Elliott, people forget Tony Pollard. I like Tony Pollard a lot, the young back right there with Ezekiel Elliott. Now, when Elliott is out, Tony Pollard is a spark plug. I love the way he runs the football. He is electric. I mean, he averaged 5.6 yards on over 100 touches. We need to remember that. And I know the offensive line is good, but this is still a guy. When you talk about Ezekiel Elliott, he gets all the praise, but he's done a great job. But Tony Pollard's a guy that, if Ezekiel Elliott goes down, Pollard can definitely step up. And then we look at the receiving core. This is where it really gets exciting. Now, they re-signed Amari Cooper. They locked him up. They still have Michael Gallup, who is going to be phenomenal. Michael Gallup is probably one of the better number twos when you look at NFL football. CeeDee Lamb, drafting him. CeeDee Lamb is going to be electric as well out there. So you've got three guys that can do anything on the football field in the receiving core. And Blake Jarwin at tight end. I don't know. I like Blake Jarwin. I don't know if he can be the guy. Now, we know, of course, Jason Witten has left, but they also have Devin Smith and Dalton Schultz, some young guys. We'll see what happens there. The offensive line coach, we know that they're good. Now, of course, losing Travis Frederick. He's gone now. That's the center position. They still have Tyron Smith, Connor Williams, Joe Looney, Zach Martin, Lyle Collins, Connor McGovern, and they drafted Tyler Bidays to hopefully fill in that center spot. I don't think it'll be this year. But when you look at this team, Coach, this is where I go back, and I won't get into this again, but Dak Prescott, listen, the money that's rumored, $35 million a year and $106 million guaranteed, you need to sign it because this is a team that could easily turn around and possibly go to the Super Bowl just with the talent that they have on offense alone.
Well, I would agree with you. They're certainly going to be in the hunt. They've got an awful lot of talent they've put together. I think they had a good draft. I agree with you. I think CeeDee Lamb is going to have another dimension to what is a solid group of receivers. And that adds another dimension, which gives them, when they've got those three on the field at the same time, defensively, think about it as a defensive coach, especially a secondary coach, how are you going to have an effective double anywhere? So it puts an awful lot of pressure on the defenses. If they can hold up, and they do have a chance to hold up front, I think losing Frederick, the center, is going to be a potential problem for them. I understand the kid that they got from Wisconsin, the center, is going to be. Most people think that he's going to be an outstanding center in the league. He could very well end up starting this year, his rookie year. If that's the case, with that offensive line, you'd have to bet that he's a pretty good player for sure. So, but he also, keep in mind, he could get some help. Those are pretty good veteran players up front now who can also help. I think Frederick directed most of the calls, but they could give the young kids some help up there. Defensively, I have some questions defensively, JP, but they seem to feel that they've gotten a little faster defensively. So whether that equates to a better defense, I don't know. But again, that defense can't stay on the field all the time, and they've got to get the ball back for them to have a very, very productive offense. But they're certainly poised to have one of the better offenses in the league.
Yeah, we have to remember they're in a division where it's up for grabs. I mean, the Philadelphia Eagles, we know that's where that offensive line problem could come in, is that defensive line is vaunted for the Eagles right now. But, Carson Wentz, can he stay healthy? Even if he stays healthy right now, they went out and got guys like Jalen Reagor. And, look, they have some weapons, but injuries has been the Eagles' problem for many years. It's a team that defensively I think is really good. Offensively, it's a matter of just staying on the field. I mean, that's what it comes down to. This Eagles team is good, but they have bit the injury bug so many times. And then you look at the Redskins, they're up and coming, but they're not here yet. And then you look at another team like the Giants. They're still young. They're still working their way in. This is a team, like I said, Coach, this is a division that is up for grabs. But talking about a division that's up for grabs now, it's a little bit interesting, is, look, number 5, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This is somewhere I'm excited, as you are, Coach. I know a lot of people are, to see what this Tampa Bay Bucs team looks like. Now, the quarterback position, of course, Tom Brady is there now. Jameis is off to New Orleans. The backup is Blaine Gabbert, which is not exactly exciting, but you know what? You got Tom Brady. I think it's interesting. If Tom Brady's got to stay healthy. Look, the Bucs know that. Tom knows that. The backfield is maybe the question mark here of how good they're going to be. Ronald Jones is there, which a lot of people like matched up with Tom Brady. Says that's a perfect matchup. And then you look at Keyshawn Vaughn, the running back they got out of Vanderbilt this year in the draft. A very versatile guy, almost like a bomb when he runs the football. He just can explode out of nowhere. And he's got the speed to get away from you. But once again, another versatile guy that fits a Tom Brady-style play. And then the receiving core. Good luck covering these guys, Coach, because I'm going to tell you right now, this is phenomenal. This is like an all-pro team when you look at some of these guys. Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, they are as good as they get, and they've been with a guy like Jameis Winston. To see him with a guy like Tom Brady, you know they are excited. Gronkowski, which people need to understand, we both believe this, Coach, that this is going to be Gronkowski's not going to be an every down guy like he was. It's going to be a spot kind of situation for him in some big plays, maybe red zone, whatever it may be. And they still have O.J. Howard right now. We weren't sure if O.J. Howard was going to stick with them. So far he's there. And they also have Cameron Brate, a guy that I believe is looked down upon. Just people forget because O.J. Howard is supposed to be the star. But Cameron Brate is one of the better pass-catching tight ends. His drop rate is very low. I mean, he can block. He can do a lot of things. He's very versatile, a tall, slender guy that can find an opening, and he has done it for quite a while. Coach, when you look at this here, the offensive line is where we wonder how this is going to get better. Now, you've made note of it that Tom Brady makes offensive lines better, and I think that's a great point moving forward. This is a younger group that, look, they have some experience, but it hasn't necessarily been very good. Now, Jameis Winston too often had to scramble in and out of trouble. I think they'll figure out some of these problems here. I'm not sure what you've heard as well, but Donovan Smith, Ali Marpet, Ryan Jensen, Alan Kappa, Tristan Wirfs. Tristan Wirfs is the guy, Coach. I love that draft pick. I can't believe Wirfs fell, but nonetheless, that's a guy that can help solidify this offensive line. When I look at the Bucs offensively, I think the question, we know the defense is young. They're up and coming. I think the defense, of course, is going to be better because of the offense this year. They're not going to be putting many. Look, Jameis Winston turned the ball over 30 times last year. That's just in interceptions, not even fumbles. So think about that, putting a defense against the grain. This is going to be a much better Tampa Bay squad and a team that will compete to win that division and possibly seeing how things go, and as long as injuries don't become a problem, take this team to the Super Bowl. I'm excited about this offense right now with Tom Brady and the Buccaneers.
Well, you should be. Everybody should be. I'll tell you, if you miss the boat here, you really miss the essence of this coming NFL season. Look, we're talking about the guy who's achieved more at the quarterback position than anyone ever, period. There's no argument there. It's not even close. He is like having a coach on the field. I've said this before, but in the event that we have someone who hasn't heard it out there, I'm going to repeat it again because I think it's important to understand. I really think Tampa Bay could end up with the best offense in the league, the best football team in the league. Brady's approach will be to be the best football team in the league, not necessarily the best offense. But here's what he does for your football team. Number one, he makes your whole team better because, let's start with the offensive line like you talked about. He makes them better because he's going to make the right audibles up front. Some people don't realize how many things are done by the quarterback at the line of scrimmage, like changing the protections on pass protection from one side to the other, or one completely different protection based on what he sees defensively. He's not going to make any mistakes, too many, if any, mistakes on getting you in the right protection. He's going to change it to a run when the odds dictate running the football on down and distance field position and the deployment that he sees defensively. So that's going to be a huge, huge advantage for that offensive line. You can't imagine how much of an advantage that will be for them. He also it goes without saying, he makes the receivers better because he's going to put them in the right position, the right patterns called, and then he will put the ball in the right position for them to catch and run or to stay healthy when they do make the catch. Defensively, he's going to be a tremendous help because he's going to keep that offense on the field longer. Therefore, the defense will be on the sideline longer, more rested, and will have a chance to play much more efficiently than they have in the past. And of course, reducing the turnovers there, 37 in all. I think 30 interceptions and 7 fumbles. So that's going to be drastically reduced, and that's going to make the defense much, much better. Just that one thing. But keeping the offense out there is going to make them even better. Overall, this is going to be a vastly improved Tampa team that, despite all the problems they had, still won 6 ball games last year. And really their defense came on and played pretty well their last 6 or 7 ball games. And if they can play better, and the offense certainly is going to be better, should make for a drastic improvement. So I'm pretty high on this Tampa football team.
Yeah, and rightfully so, Coach. If you're a Tampa fan, it's been a while since you've been able to get excited about your season upcoming, and I think you're right. You know, you talk about 37 and 38 turnovers, the position to put your defense in. This is a defense that battled, and there was in some games that they shouldn't have been just because, listen, when you don't turn the football over, they can go out and play. And I think, look, you talked about all the things that Tom Brady makes better, and it's everything. I mean, he has an impact on every single part of your team, including the locker room, which we know how important that is as well. And it just brings a renewed vigor to a team like this. This team is excited. This team is ready to go. It's been a while. I mean, guys can say, you know what, you get excited about going back to football season, but if you know your team's not very good, it's hard to truly just buy in unless you're just buying in for yourself. We know that. Coach, you know that playing in the NFL and coaching in the NFL as well. But you know what? It's going to be excited to see Tampa Bay, that division is unbelievable. When you talk about the Panthers, the Falcons, and then what they've done to improve themselves was already good enough right there. And then you talk about the Bucs going out there. And then, look, the Saints countering, getting a guy like Emmanuel Sanders, having a good draft. This is going to be a lot of fun, a lot of fireworks. I can't wait. But listen, we're up against a break. When we come back, as we have been doing, we're almost through it. We've broken down the SEC, talking about the ACC. We're going to talk about Virginia Tech for a few minutes here. And then we're going to talk about Drew Lock, a guy that if you don't know Drew Lock, you should, because this is a guy that could be a dark horse to possibly win MVP, but not even that. Just turn this Broncos franchise around. We'll talk more about that when we come back right here on Talk Football with Coach K on ESPN Pensacola.
I'm attorney Stephen Luongo with Levin, Papantonio, Thomas, Mitchell, Rafferty, and Proctor in Pensacola, Florida. Distracted driving is a dangerous epidemic on America's roadways. In 2016 alone, over 3,000 people were killed in motor vehicle crashes involving distracted drivers. This according to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. For more information, please visit us today online at levinlaw.com. Please be safe on the roadways. Stop the text, stop the wrecks.
When you're looking for a great deal on a reliable new or certified pre-owned vehicle, you can't beat Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola. Bob Tyler Toyota has the best selection in town at incredible low prices. You can check out their amazing inventory from Camrys to Tundra trucks to 4Runners. It's all at Bob Tyler Toyota, and you can find it online at bobtylertoyota.com. Also score a touchdown this football season with the car of your dreams. Again, it's only at Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola.
Hello, sports fans. Miles Bentley here, General Manager at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram in Pensacola. Growing up, I always loved sports. Nothing but net, out of the park, through the uprights. Sink the puck Bentley, that was me. But my love of the game couldn't beat my love for Pensacola and helping folks get on the road of dreams in a new Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Sure, I never went to the big leagues in sport, but we're all pro here at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Proud to be in Pensacola.
Well, I finally did it. My student loan is totally paid off.
What? What about our plan to win the lottery and start living? You know, travel the world on matching yachts, wear enough jewelry to require a bodyguard, vacation on the French Riviera, and then buy it.
You know we're never going to win the lottery, right?
When it comes to financial stability, don't get left behind. Get tools and tips for saving at feedthepig.org. This message brought to you by the American Institute of CPAs, the Florida Society of CPAs, and the Ad Council.
JP here. At ESPN Pensacola, we are hometown proud. We love our hometown heroes like Super Bowl champion Seattle Seahawk Doug Baldwin.
They fake, little lob, wide open, touchdown, Doug Baldwin.
Bigger body than Wilson likes to throw to, big target. Here's Baldwin, smaller target, and he ducks in for the touchdown.
Hi, this is Doug Baldwin, and you're listening to ESPN Pensacola.
What's up, Chad here from the Sports Drive. Well, no sports to talk about. March Madness canceled, every major sport, so maybe you get to spend some more time around your family. Oh, what? Not supposed to touch anybody? Well, just go home and watch Price is Right. But if you are older, you have a better chance of getting it. Right, Mike Gundy? Oh, 40? You should be all right. And he won't be broadcasting sports, but one guy that feels the same way we all do with no sports, probably Joe Buck.
Oh, gosh. Oh, man. Oh, my goodness.
Sports Drive 5 to 7 with no sports.
This is Davis Allen from Sports Call with Davis and Justin, and you're listening to Talk Football with Coach K on ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM.
Welcome back to Talk Football with Coach K. JP here with you alongside former NFL head coach Kay Stevenson on this Wednesday afternoon. Hope everybody's doing well. Continue practicing social distancing. Good to see some of the local businesses opening up, the beaches opening up, and people doing what they should be, and that's important. We do not want to backtrack on any of this. But listen, we're talking some football with you as always. Hey, Coach, as we continue, a couple teams left here. One of the last teams, the Virginia Tech Hokies, is a team that, you know what, has always been a pestering defensive squad. Now, Justin Fuente takes over, goes 8-5 last year, 5-3 in the Coastal Division in the ACC, averaging about 30 points a game, which was, well, about 50th in college football, giving up about 24, which was 46th. Some quick notes talking about Virginia Tech before we move on here. Listen, this is a team that, when you look at their schedule, it's like you play Liberty, you get Liberty at home, Penn State at home, Middle Tennessee on the road, back home to play North Alabama. It's FBS opponent now. Interesting enough, used to be in UWF's conference. But Georgia Tech at home, North Carolina on the road in Chapel Hill, Boston College at home. Then you look at Louisville on the road, which could be a very tough game. Then Pitt at Heinz Field there, and Miami at home. And then finishing up right here with Duke on the road and Virginia, the battle right there. We talked about Virginia yesterday. That's always a fun game. But Virginia taking down Virginia Tech for the first time in a while last year. This is a team that, Coach, when you look at it, Virginia Tech has never been necessarily elite. Now, people remember some years back in the day a little bit that they were pretty good. Now, following a 6-7 record, Virginia Tech had a bounce-back season, like I said, with 8-5. But Justin Fuente's team winning the regular season finale against Virginia with a chance to claim the ACC Coastal. Now, we remember, regardless of whoever won that game was going to play Clemson. We know how that ended up. But with that being said, Virginia got to play Florida in the Orange Bowl, so Virginia Tech could have played Florida in the Orange Bowl. And just some notes to remember out there. But for the first time since George W. Bush's first term, the Hokies fell to the Cavaliers, giving them the division crown. Now, we also have to remember a month later, Virginia Tech dropped the New Year's Eve heartbreaker to Kentucky in the Belk Bowl to finish 8-5, could have been 9-4. Nonetheless, Hendon Hooker seemingly entrenched as starting quarterback. Rayshard Ashby leading the defense. The guys are coming back. Another step forward is hoped for in 2020. But, Coach, when you look at this schedule, it's not necessarily a tough schedule outside of, of course, some teams like Penn State, but you get them at home, and these could be some tough battles. I mean, this is going to be interesting. When you talk about a team like Virginia Tech, they're always rough and tumble. We know they always have a good defense. There's a lot of tradition there with the coaches in the past, but I like Justin Fuente a lot. This team started out rough in the beginning, but finished strong in the end. Of course, didn't work out there when you talk about the last two games, losing to Virginia, losing the chance to win the ACC Coastal, and then losing to Kentucky in the bowl game, which was an interesting enough bowl game when the fight broke out. But this is a team, Virginia Tech, that, you know what, Coach, I look at 8-5, maybe 9 wins this year, but I just feel like 8-5 is probably where this team is going to end up.
Yeah, I would agree with you, JP. I think they've done a good job up there. And I always remember this. I don't care who's there. They are tough to play in Blacksburg. Their home stadium there has really become one of the death valleys, if you want to call them that, in college football, because it's been for a long, long time. It's been very difficult to play up there, especially when they can get you there at night. So I think schedule playing in the ACC, 8 wins would be a good year for them. I think it would be a good year. And then they're lucky to have a couple of games at home there that they could knock somebody off and end up with maybe 9 wins. But that's a good look at their season. I think that's about right.
Yeah, we have to remember they don't play Clemson, they don't play Florida State, teams like that. So it only betters your opportunity. Now, of course, if you win that Coastal, you'll most likely see a school like Clemson. I think it's going to be far-fetched to believe anybody else but Clemson wins that. But nonetheless, it's going to be interesting. And you know what, Virginia Tech, like you said, Coach, you're right. Blacksburg is like another Death Valley. It's always tough to play no matter what, especially on those midweek games that they'll play on a Thursday or a Friday night. Those are always scary for the incoming team to play. But nonetheless, listen, we're going to take a quick commercial break. I want to talk about Drew Lock. Drew Lock coming out saying he's motivated for this season. And you know what? We might want to believe him because this guy could be for real. We'll talk about that more when we come back right here on Talk Football with Coach K on ESPN Pensacola.
I'm attorney Stephen Luongo with Levin, Papantonio, Thomas, Mitchell, Rafferty, and Proctor in Pensacola, Florida. Distracted driving is a dangerous epidemic on America's roadways. In 2016 alone, over 3,000 people were killed in motor vehicle crashes involving distracted drivers. This according to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. For more information, please visit us today online at levinlaw.com. Please be safe on the roadways. Stop the text, stop the wrecks.
When you're looking for a great deal on a reliable new or certified pre-owned vehicle, you can't beat Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola. Bob Tyler Toyota has the best selection in town at incredible low prices. You can check out their amazing inventory from Camrys to Tundra trucks to 4Runners. It's all at Bob Tyler Toyota, and you can find it online at bobtylertoyota.com. Also score a touchdown this football season with the car of your dreams. Again, it's only at Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola.
There's only one place in town for the lowest prices and greatest selection of firearms. Pensacola Indoor Shooting Range. Visit our fully stocked Gun Pro Shop for new and used firearms, accessories, and ammunition. Check out the Indoor Shooting Range. We offer rentals on guns, including fully automatic machine guns and silencers. Ladies, this is the safe place to learn how to use a gun. Plus, Tuesday is Ladies' Day. Women shoot for half price all day. The best place to buy firearms in Pensacola. Pensacola Indoor Shooting Range, Highway 29 in Car City.
Pensacola's own NFL Hall of Famer Emmitt Smith has some tips for us during this time.
This fight is up to all of us to try to help bend that curve. It's going to take teamwork. It's going to take us to stay committed, stay focused, and stay dedicated to the mission at hand, and that is to keep everyone safe. So be encouraging. Find some support. Find someone to talk to every day to encourage them to keep on continuing in this fight, and we will beat this pandemic.
I'm Troy Rafferty, and many of you know about my love for sports and my longtime support for our local high school athletes. One thing these fine young people have taught me over the years is this: whether it's on the ball field, in the classroom, or in a court of law, always work your hardest and achieve the best results possible. And that is the commitment we make to our clients and our community.
Levin Papantonio in Pensacola since 1955.
Spring is sprung, and it's time for your favorite weekend activities. It all starts with a stop at Barnes Feed Store. Now's the time to get your hands dirty planting your favorite flowers and vegetables in the garden. What will you grow this year? Barnes Feed Store has been helping gardens grow better for generations. You'll sure have the best smelling backyard while grilling those burgers on your Big Green Egg. Now you can get the Big Green Egg and accessories at Barnes. Get your gardening, grilling, pet supplies, and so much more at Barnes Feed Store in Inslee on Old Palafox.
The teams, the games, the fans, the local talk. This is ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM, 99.1 FM.
Welcome back to Talk Football with Coach K. JP here with you alongside former NFL head coach Kay Stevenson. on this Wednesday afternoon. Hope everybody's well. We're talking some football with you. A couple minutes here, Coach. Want to get into this real quick. Now, Drew Lock, of course, coming out and saying, look, I know there's been a lot of talk about the quarterbacks in Denver. Basically, Peyton, talking about Peyton Manning was the man, but there's been some up and down since that time. And we know Elway has basically, he believes in Drew Lock. And, Coach, I want to get your take on this. He's built this team around Drew Lock, and what I'm going to ask you is when you look at Drew, should we believe in the hype of Drew Lock? He's a dark horse style guy, but when you look at his play, even going back to Missouri, is this the guy that could possibly take the Denver Broncos and put them over the hump a little bit? And what I mean is not necessarily the Super Bowl. I don't want to put that kind of aspirations on a guy yet, but put them in position to go to the playoffs.
I like Drew Lock. I like what he did last year. He was not expected to come on. They had the old veteran
Joe Flacco
quarterback there, Flacco, and he was expected to give him a lift and put him in contention, and it was a learning year for Drew Lock. And it's a good thing that it happened now. It's a good thing it happened the way it did, because they went with Lock as they should have, and he had a heck of a year, especially as a rookie just being thrown in. And I think they helped themselves in the draft. They've got more people around him now, and I really feel like that he's going to be a good quarterback. He's going to be a better quarterback than most people thought. And he's got he checks most all the boxes. I'm not sure about all the intangibles with him. They seem to be good, but he certainly checks the measurables. He's a big, strong guy who can throw the football. So everything's on the upside for Drew Lock, and I think they've got a good one. And he could well be a dark horse that could put Denver back in the ball game.
Yeah, I agree, Coach. I think it's important. And you know what I like about Drew Lock is, I'm a sucker for this kind of stuff, but the character of a guy is a guy that works hard, that was behind Joe Flacco, and Flacco didn't, he got hurt, didn't really work out with the way things were going, and he just stepped up and played. That's what he just did. He didn't make an excuse. He started out a little rough. He just went out there and just played the game, gave it his all, continued to work hard. You know what? Flacco was a guy that even had said that, Drew Lock's working hard behind the scenes. I think it's important because a lot of people didn't give Drew Lock a lot of credit for, the type of quarterback he was, and a lot of that's because, he was playing at Missouri. But I think it's important to remember, too, they went out and got a guy like Jerry Jeudy. They had Cortland Sutton, and outside of Cortland Sutton, that was about it for him. Maybe a guy like Tim Patrick or a Deshaun Hamilton, but those aren't guys you lose sleep over. But now you've got Jerry Jeudy. Now the guy that I love the most in KJ Hamler. You went out there and shored up your offensive line, drafting a guy like a Lloyd Cushenberry, who I think will be pretty good down the road. This is a team we know how good the defense is. This is, like you said, Coach, I think he's a guy that, can put them over the hump. Elway has put a lot of eggs in his basket, but I think rightfully so. But that sound, Coach, means time for us to go. As always, we had a lot we didn't get to, but nonetheless, it was a pleasure, my friend.
You bet. Always look forward to tomorrow. Thank you, JP.
Absolutely, Coach. I appreciate it, and we appreciate our listeners. Look, we'll be back tomorrow talking some football with you, same time, right here on Talk Football with Coach K on ESPN Pensacola.
This is ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM and 99.1 FM, the only local station that talks sports 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. From Gullick and Wingo to the Sports Drive with Chad Brillante. Plus talk football with Coach K at noon, Sports Call every Saturday. If you'd like to partner with us as an advertiser or a promotional partner, just give us a call at 262-6000.
You're listening to ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM. All sports, all the time. WEBY, Milton, Pensacola.
It's First Take Your Take on ESPN Radio. Kevin Connors in today for Jason Fitz.